Hello everyone, this is Dan, and today going to be looking at some of the top current young guys in baseball that are under 25. So, I was looking at like Soto and Acuña, Yordan Alvarez, Tatis. Don't have too many of his cards. And, I also have some of like Luis Robert, Guerrero, and Bichette. So we'll start with the graded cards. I'm not going to do that many of I have a lot of Alvarez cards. I actually have a whole separate video of them. Just a couple of my favorites. I just think he's a really good player, amazing hitter. Obviously, he's done well. Like, you usually don't want to buy guys like still pretty early in their careers, right? When you look at all these guys, people assume that it'll hopefully at least like one or two of them make it to the Hall of Fame. But injuries are just not doing well. Lots of things could happen that they don't play well. But for me, I feel like Alvarez has been fairly consistent. He had surgery. He's only 25 this year, and missed 1 year. Basically, got brought up when he was 22. Has had 3 good years. Keeps getting better. He's actually not a horrible field. I mean, he's an amazing hitter. I like this card. That's a refractor of him. Has the World Series ring, and he was a pretty big contributor to that. Already has some iconic moments in the World Series. Good hitter. Also with the shift, getting rid of the shift, I think they said statistically he's one of the players that will be most benefited by that. Next up, we'll look at Acuña. Let me put this one back up there. I like that card, that refractor. Next up is Acuña, but don't have too many of his cards. Most of these I bought relatively recently. He's probably since November of 2022. There's been, not only a lot of these players didn't do very well last year. Acuña got hurt and made his way back. But card prices really came down a lot. So I bought a few of them. It's kind of like, it's gambling. It's kind of fun watching them. You have a little more in the game if they're not doing well. Of course, first one I had to get of him was his 1981 looking card. Being a fan of the 1981 set, I mean, it really looks exactly like the 1981 card with the actual real stats in the back instead of having like Throwback Thursday text. I just think it's a cool pose. 81 was a great set, and it's cool looking. Would be neat to see like the Tim Raines, their Fernando Valenzuela with that little rookie logo in the upper right hand corner. Here's Bowman Chrome. A neat looking card. Cards are just really nice looking now. I feel like a lot of the chromes are just well designed. This set in particular, realize is not fully licensed, but the shine on these I just think is really cool. Like, I really like the Donruss optic. And these I try to get 10s. I mean, a lot of times I'm okay with a little bit of older stuff, like for call them the older guys, going back from like 2013 before, I'm okay even getting 9s, but these I try to generally get 10s. Here's a refractor. It's funny when you see what the prices for some of these were. They're pretty crazy in the past, and now they've tried to get things. Did get actually 2 9s on this one. Was a 9. Bowman's Best. Probably should have got a 10 for that one. This is the only one that had a really low pop count. It's not a very common card, so I wasn't going to spend much. It was only $9 to get the 9, and shipping. I know it was like $3-4 to get it shipped, so I'd say like $13-14. But that's a kind of a neat looking card, and was not too expensive. The 10 was like 150, and the 9 was a 9. Basically, no one was bidding on it. In the heart of winter, when no one wanted to buy cards. So that's it for Mr. Acuña, and we'll see. He had the injury, had the ACL injury, came back reasonably well. He was actually pretty fast. He wasn't hitting for power as much last year once he came back from the injury, but he started doing better at the end of the year and was stealing bases. Remember guys like Adrian Peterson, had ACL injury and came back even stronger. So hopefully Acuña can. He's still young, and he's definitely a guy that can be a 40-40 guy, plays on a good team. Soto, like that card, the 83 card. I was saying, though, that the back doesn't have the real stats. They start writing like, this is a Throwback Thursday card, and start talking about, Boggs and Sandberg and Tony Gwynn. Wish they would just show the stats. But I kind of like that look. It's kind of a neat card. It's a relatively low pop count. Speaking of low pop counts, this is not one of them. This is a chrome. Bought all 3 of these. I bought 2 or 3 of these, actually. 2 of them off the same guy. This is a really nice looking card, though. I mean, or it's showing much, but yeah, it's a cool looking card, especially with the PSA red slab, kind of matches the uniform. Nice card. That's really plummeted in value. Topps Living, some nice artwork there. His profile, just a cool portrait of Soto. I think this was one of the first cards that he had available. Again, sort of a high pop count. This one has a lower pop count. I like Panini. I want to get his optic. That'd probably be the last card I get of him, but if I don't get it, it's okay. I have enough cards of him to make it fun to watch. Is it Prism? I have a neat looking card. Panini does make some nice looking cards. Bowman's Best. And doesn't have that like pop count of like 20,000 or whatever. The Topps paper, the Topps base flagship card. It's still a good card. You'll get things like Griffey there. They still survived, and if Soto does turn out to be the player of the 2020s, then they'll be still be a cool card to have, right? You can always look at just what it's worth. And this card I really liked. Again, the front of it looks like that. The Aaron and the Ernie Banks rookie year throwback. It was only a 9. I put it actually really low. I wanted to get the 10. I saw a 9. I was like, oh, I'll just put in a low ball bid on it, assuming that it wouldn't win. But it actually did win, so I landed up with a 9 instead of a 10. So I'll save some money, and I don't have a 10. But somehow my world will be okay with only having a 9 of one of my Juan Soto cards. Actually, I have a few more here. I have a couple SGCs, another Chrome. The SGCs were a lot less expensive. Again, for a while, you could see people, this off season in particular, there's always going to be a little bit, buying cards off season is obviously always good. Then around Christmas time, people need some money. A lot of these players didn't do that well. I think he only batted around like 246 or so. Had a decent on base percentage, but didn't do that great this year, Soto, compared to previous years. And the card market going down, lots of things going against it. Again, card prices down, off season, Christmas season. People are just getting worried about the card market as a whole. So I was able to pick these up at a decent cost. I only started buying these, like I said, recently. So by then, Tatis, the PED scandal had already started. So I literally only have, I think, one Tatis card, which is this one. Not going to buy too many of them. He's, seems to have some issues. He's gotten motorcycle accidents and stuff like that. So far, those are, 3 of the guys under 25. I think Soto's done. Yeah, we'll have to see. Does Soto come back? Could be an amazing hitter. He's a great eye. He's going to walk a lot, going to get on base. Acuña could be a 40-40 guy. Alvarez just going to hit some home runs and better fielder than people thought. Luis Robert didn't do well, and he's getting old. I mean, he's like 25 this year, and he kind of hasn't lived up to his potential because he gets injured a lot. But, figured buy a couple of his cards. There's a lot of them, and I just want to pick up a couple mainly raw cards in a lot, just to have some. It's kind of fun to watch him play. To him play the Mariners. Man, he's good. Like, he's naturally talented. You see someone like Trout, like really a 5-tool player. I think he already won a Golden Glove. He was hitting for power. He was run. He literally like almost ran through the wall. He's a potentially really good player, but we'll have to see how he proceeds. Also have some raw cards. Just gonna look through these really quickly. A couple of Alvarez's. I brought these in. I have a whole way too many Alvarez cards, but I just like this card in particular. I like that the back looks like the real card from that year. Like, is that 52 or 54? Should know that the Aaron and the Banks rookie year. Bichette, I think, could be good. He actually did really well at the end of that last year. He did good his rookie year. He put up like a 5.5 WAR, and then last year he started doing not very good throughout the year to start, but then he really came out at the end of the year like ridiculously well. He played the last, I don't know, he's probably batting like 400 or something. the last maybe 4 to 6 weeks of the season. So if he can put together, just do that for a little bit longer, he could be really good. And I mean, not that likely. I don't have too many of them. There's a lot of his cards out there, but still kind of fun to have. Here's a couple of extra Acuña cards, just raw Acuñas. Yeah, nothing really spectacular. The Topps Chrome, the update. Excuse me, not the update, the debut. Cool card. Just, nothing spectacular. Again, people like, these aren't very expensive cards. And when I say not very expensive, that's a relative statement. But I mean, some of them are only a few dollars each. Luis Robert, the same thing. I mean, these are really like between maybe like $1 and $3, and some even less than that, like Bowman Sterling. It's kind of a cool set. These are really cheap. I mean, the Chrome and the up, you can get them for free, but you can buy lots where they're like super inexpensive. Sorry, there's a little glare there. There's a Bowman, first Bowman. And there's him running. So we'll see. I mean, he's a guy who's got a lot of natural talent, and can he make it through 1 year without getting injured? It'd be great to see, like, what could he do? What if he stayed healthy for 1 year? Probably won't, but it was fun. Hey, let's put down as like a bet, or buying options, but the option doesn't expire. Like, hey, if we can put down $25 on Luis Robert for the next 8 years, you never know. He has the ability to win an MVP and be really impressive, but who knows? Vlad Guerrero still had a good year last year, not as good as 2 years ago, but good home run hitter potentially. I don't have any graded cards of him yet. Just figure, kind of using finance terms, like buying options on a stock. I feel like raw cards are sort of an option. They're less expensive. Newer cards probably would grade reasonably well if I sent them into PSA, so I'd rather buy, instead of like 1 or 2 graded cards for $40 to $60 each, you can buy like a lot of their rookie cards for, and usually in pretty good condition for half of that. You get like 6 or 8 or 10 cards for price of 1, and probably more than that, maybe like 10 cards, 12, 15 cards for the price of 1. They do well, you can get them graded. If they don't, well then, there's cards you had of a guy that, like Willie McGee and Vince Coleman and Darryl Strawberry and Gooden and all those guys that kind of were good but never completely made it. And we know that all these guys aren't going to be in the Hall of Fame in 20 years, but hopefully at least a couple of them make it. Like I said, Alvarez is probably my favorite. I'm not going to go through them. I have a separate video of him. Soto, here's more probably raw cards of him besides of Alvarez and of anybody. He's one that everyone was saying, like, oh, so expensive. And if you look, like, they weren't like this 83 looking card. It's not the, what do they call, the Mojo Refractor or whatever that refractor one. It's not that one, but I think it was like $3. And these, I bought several of these select cards, which I really like how this looks. These were, I think, $4 both times for 2, or $4 or $5 for 2 of them. So I paid, I think, like $10 for 4 of his cards, which isn't that bad. I consider that somewhat inexpensive for a player that could be really good, and not a, maybe these don't come out as 10s, but if it's 15 years from now, and Soto did have, he got like 2 MVPs and he is hitting close to, 500 home runs, and he's done well. It'd be kind of neat to have gotten somewhat of the scarcer rookie cards of him for not that much money. Granted, they're ungraded. So now there. Those, some paper, and then here's like the rookie cup. A couple of these cards here. Try to not get so much glare. Minor league card. Some writing on that one. Stadium Club. These like Stadium Club cards are cool looking. It's another one. So that's about it. Just wanted to show some cards, and again, it's sort of a way to kick off the new season, and be fun to revisit a video like this 10 years from now, 15 years from now. Which, if any of these guys actually really did make it, which ones sustained, and could be none of them, right? I think Alvarez, Acuña, and Soto. I mean, Soto probably most people would be betting on are going to be good. I'd include Ohtani is older than 25. I'm just looking at guys 25 or under. There's a couple other guys like Austin Riley, and want to get guys that at least had like three years or so in the majors. Someone like Luis Roberts probably already almost, people are like, nah, he's too old, or he hasn't proven himself. But you never know, guys like that can suddenly can come on a little bit later. There's been Ortiz and like Adrian Beltre and players like that that, you know, didn't maybe start out that great. A little bit different, I guess. Robert's been hurt, but there's guys out there that can suddenly come on. So we'll see Bichette, Guerrero, Alvarez, Acuña, Soto, Luis Robert. We'll see what the future holds for them. And that's it. Thanks for watching.